Hello, welcome back to Weekly Life of Wisdom. As always, I'm your host, Zero Yeti. Let's go ahead and get into it with our first animal of the week. The Greenland shark, also known as the Gurry shark, the gray shark, or by the Kalasut name Iqualesec, is a large shark in the family Somasoidae, closely related to Pacific and southern sleeper sharks. At 24 feet long, around 2,200 pounds in weight, the Greenland shark is the fifth largest living shark known to science. They can be found throughout the North Atlantic and Arctic oceans at a typical depth between 100 feet and 5,000 feet. Able to adapt to brackish and freshwater environments, Greenland sharks are also known to frequent glacial lakes and inland rivers. These sharks are generally scavengers, feeding on a variety of animals such as fish, shellfish, marine mammals, and seabirds. There have even been documented cases of Greenland sharks hunting caribou and moose along rivers, not unlike crocodiles hunting zebras in the Serengeti. The reason the Greenland shark can survive its frigid environment is due to its antifreeze-laden blood, which has high concentrations of trimethylamine oxide, which is a fairly toxic waste that is often built up by cellular processes. It also has a remarkably slow metabolism, needing only to eat, it can go several months on end without eating. Curiously, its flesh, once treated to reduce the toxin levels via boiling, drying, or fermentation, is eaten in Iceland as a delicacy known as Kester Haklar. Hakalar? Hakarl. Hakarl. Kester Hakarl. The Greenland shark has the longest known lifespan of all vertebrate species at around 500 years. And it is thought to be the real-life creature behind stories such as the Loch Ness Monster and other northern lake monsters. Next up is the Tapanuli Orangutan, which is a species of orangutan restricted to the South Tapanuli mountain range on the island of Sumatra. It was described as a distinct species in 2017, with genetic comparisons showing the Tapanuli orangutans diverged from the mainland Sumatran orangutans around 3.4 million years ago and became further isolated after the Lake Toba eruption that occurred around 75,000 years ago. With a maximum size around 4.5 feet tall and 180 pounds in weight, they are the smallest orangutan species. This is probably due to their exclusively arboreal lifestyle. They lead solitary lives, only congregating in pairs to raise young. Tapanuli orangutans are active most throughout the day, moving slowly through the trees in search of food, where they have a fairly unusual diet for an ape, consisting of conifer cones and needles, leaves, butterflies and caterpillars, durians, lychees, and other fruits. Some individuals have even been seen catching and eating fish. At night, Tapanuli orangutans built nests for sleeping high up in the canopy out of folded branches and weaved leaves. With less than 800 individuals remaining, Tapanuli orangutans are classified as critically endangered. The threats they face are extensive, as they are often preyed upon by tigers, clouded leopards, Sumatran dholes, and crocodiles, but their main conflict lies with humans, such as poaching for the illegal wildlife trade, rampant habitat destruction for small-scale agriculture and mining, and the proposed hydroelectric dam, the Bangtung Toro Hydropower Project, which is set to be built in an area where the highest density of Tapanuli orangutans live, and it could impact a sizable area of the already dwindling habitat. If necessary conservation measures and practices are not implemented, conservationists predict that an 83% decline in the population is expected within the next 75 years, which means the Tapanuli orangutans could well go extinct within the next century. Next up is the Aldabra giant tortoise, which is a species of giant tortoise endemic to the Aldabra atoll within the Seychelles, which is an archipelago nation around 930 miles off the coast of Africa and set east and northeast of Madagascar. With further populations having been introduced to Reunion, Mauritius, and some islands of the central Seychelles. At an average shell length of 4 feet and a weight around 550 pounds, they are the second largest extant tortoise species, only after the Galapagos tortoise. These animals travel in small herds throughout a wide variety of habitats, including mangrove swamps, scrub forest, grassland, and coastal beaches, each with their own characteristic vegetation. These tortoises are both grazers and browsers, feeding on a variety of grasses and woody plants, even going so far as to uproot and knock over small trees and shrubs to get the rich leaves and fruit. They will also eat meat when it is available, frequently searching for bugs and scavenging on carrion to gain more nutrients. The breeding season extends from February to May, with female tortoises carrying the eggs for about 10 weeks, after which period they are buried in the ground and the clutch size of 9 to 25 individual eggs are laid. Each egg is around the size of a tennis ball. Typically, only 3 to 5 viable young are produced from a clutch, meaning only 3 to 5 individuals actually make it to adulthood. In high-density populations, female Aldabras may only lay 4 to 5 eggs every few years, whereas in low-density populations, they may be laid several clutches a year. Incubation is about 4 months, and females may nest twice in one season. Due to their lack of predators once they reach a significant size, and little competition for resources other than other tortoises, it is not uncommon for Aldabra tortoises to reach some 200 years of age even in the wild. Next up is the nene, also known as the Hawaiian goose. It is a species of waterfowl endemic to the Hawaiian Islands, and is the official bird of the state of Hawaii. The nene is exclusively found in the wild on the islands of Oahu, Maui, Kauai, Molokai, and Hawaii. Here they inhabit a range of environments, such as shrubland, grassland, coastal dunes, lava plains, and the related anthropogenic habitats like pasture, farmland, fields, and golf courses. They range in elevation all the way from sea level to the mountains at 8,000 feet. The nene is a medium-sized goose at around 16 inches tall and weigh around 6 pounds. They are strictly herbivorous, with leaves, seeds, fruits, and flowers comprising the vast majority of their diet. The nene breeds in times of food abundance, with the nest being built by females out of sight of her choosing. They lay between 1 and 5 eggs, which are then incubated for 29 to 32 days, while the father acts as a sentry and, like a gopher, constantly bringing the female food. Goslings are precocial, able to feed on their own. They often remain with their parents until the following breeding season. The nene were once plentiful, with an estimated population of 25,000 before Captain Cook first arrived in the Hawaiian Islands in 1778. Hunting and introduced predators such as the Asian mongoose, pigs, and cats reduced the population to just 30 birds by 1952. Under the direction of conservationist Peter Scott, the nene was bred back from the brink of extinction throughout the 1950s and 60s and became well established throughout zoos worldwide. It was successfully reintroduced back to its historic wild range. However, with a total population of only 2,500 individuals, it still remains one of the world's rarest geese. The mangrove horseshoe crab, also known as the round-tailed horseshoe crab, is a chelicerate arthropod found in tropical marine and brackish waters throughout India, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Malaysia, Brunei, Singapore, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, China, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, the Philippines, and Hong Kong. Horseshoe crabs are commonly known by biologists around the world to be living fossils because they have remained practically unchanged in terms of their shape, size, and ecological niche for around 400 million years. Despite their name, horseshoe crabs are more closely related to spiders and scorpions than true crabs. At around 12 inches long and 6 inches wide, the mangrove horseshoe crab is the smallest of the 4 living species of horseshoe crabs, and uniquely amongst horseshoe crabs, the cross-section of the tail of the mangrove is rounded as opposed to triangular. This is thought to be an adaptation to better help the horseshoe crab flip itself over when it is overturned. The mangrove horseshoe crabs are selective benthic feeders, feeding mainly on insect larvae, small dead fish, eggs, worms, vegetable matter, and clams. In the spring, horseshoe crabs migrate from deeper waters to shallow, muddy areas. Nesting usually follows a cycle of high tide and fall due to the full and new moons. During the mating period, males will follow and cling to the backs of their potential mates, using modified prosomal appendages for long periods of time before the egg laying has occurred. Once a mate is found, they come ashore and the female digs a hole, laying the eggs while the male externally fertilizes them. Once the eggs are laid, the male and female will go back to the ocean. The eggs then develop on their own, hatching several weeks later into miniature versions of the adults. Mangrove horseshoe crabs are frequently harvested for both their meat and roe, which is used to make a seafood salad dish called yam kai mangja. In addition, horseshoe crabs are prized for their blue blood, which is used as a biomedical which is used in biomedical sciences for the development of drugs. The blood contains a chemical called lemmus amebocyte lysate, or LAL, and it's usually detects and kills germs and their endotoxins. This is due to the fact that horseshoe crabs don't have a immune system like we do, so they don't have T cells or white blood cells. Instead, they just rely on LAL to take care of the viruses and parasites. Next up is Rhadophis tigris, tigrinus. Rhadophis tigris. They're commonly known as the tiger keelback, the Asian tiger snake, the kotakabam, or the yamakagashi. It is a species of venomous snake in the family Colubridae. It can be found throughout Russia, North and South Korea, Taiwan, Vietnam, China, Mongolia, and Japan, typically along rivers and in wetland habitats. They mainly hunt small vertebrate species such as fish and amphibians, with a particular fondness of toads. Despite having a fairly potent anticoagulation venom, the tiger keelback is not prone to striking. Instead, when R. tigrinus is challenged at colder temperatures, it tends to demonstrate passive anti-predator response by flattening its neck and body while ramping up its colors as a warning sign. And at higher temperatures, it is more frequently documented fleeing instead due to its impressive speed. The species has two nuctal glands on its neck that sequester the steroid irritants obtained from eating the poisonous toads as a predation defense mechanism, making it the only poisonous and venomous snake on Earth, with females often even being able to pass this toxin onto their offspring through their eggs. And our extinct animal of the week is a Macrorotis, which is a genus of large Macrorotis saber-toothed cats that lived in Africa and Eurasia during the late Miocene to early Pleistocene era, some 10 million to 200,000 years ago. It is a feline which forms the subfamily Macrorotis and gets its name from its characteristic teeth. The family Macrorotis has become a bit of a waste to taxon over the years, as many genera of saber-toothed cat have been and are still occasionally thrown in and lumped in with them. However, they are notably distinct in their own right, with several notable species, with the type specimen of Macrorotis amphicytus first described in 1832 by German naturalist Johann Jacob Kopp, though its remains are also known since 1824, but it was previously believed by Georges Cuvier, who originally found the fossils, that the fossils had come from a large species of bear. Camp, however, recognized the teeth as those of felids and promptly reclassified the existing species as Macrorotis. M. amphicytus specifically possessed a tiger-like build, standing around 3.5 feet tall at the shoulder, 6 feet in length, and weighed around 250 to 500 pounds. Overall, the skull of Macrorotis was noticeably narrow compared to the skulls of other extinct pantherine cats, with the orbits were relatively small, showing that it had a diurnal lifestyle. The canines were long, thin, and flattened from side to side, but were broad from front to back, like the blade of a knife. The front and back edges of the canines were also serrated in young individuals, but these serrations were gradually worn down as the animal aged. Macrorotis amphicytus fossils that are recovered from the Blatones reveal high percentage of tooth breakage, indicating that unlike other saber-toothed cats, Macrorotis often use its sabers to subdue prey in a manner similar to modern cats. This was, although a quicker kill strategy, a more risky strategy that virtually ensured damage to their saber teeth. Macrorotis was an ambush predator that seemed to prefer open woodland habitat, as evidenced by finds at Cerro dos Batalones, which is a fossil site in Spain, where it would have been amongst the top predators in its habitat, preying on a variety of animals such as early horses, giraffes, deer, hornless rhinos, and young gomphotheres. Macrorotis itself would have competed with and often fallen prey to other carnivores, such as the giant bear dog Megarocyon, fellow Macrodonts, Promactherion, and Paramacrorotis, the bears Arugotherium and Idarctos, the giant pig Cubanoceronos, and the small hyaenid Protocathetherium. As always, take care of my guys, gals, and non-binary pals.